I'll let you know that we have a slight delay. We obviously don't have a quorum right now. However, we do have Commissioner Curry is on his way, and he will be here shortly. So if we do have another commissioner come in prior to that, we will go ahead and get started. Otherwise, when he gets here, we'll get started, and we do apologize for the delay. We are having this meeting in the Defuniak Springs Boardroom. Today is July 28th, 2025 at 10 a.m. We might be, we're 3 minutes after that, so 10:03. We have 3 commissioners in attendance. We have, our Commissioner Drake is not here, and Commissioner Curry is not here yet, but he is on his way. If you, Brian, would mind leading us in the invocation, that would be wonderful.
Yep. May the Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Let us pray. Almighty God, Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold seat on this commission the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve on this commission to promote the well-being of all the people who live in our community and visit our community. Help them to balance the weight of the influences on their thought processes so that they can make the best decisions for all concerned. And as always, help us to treat everyone with patience and fairness and kindness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any elected officials in the audience? Anyone? I see a hand over there.
Jeff Talbert.
I'm sorry?
Jeff Talbert with the Argyle Fire District.
Okay, Jeff Talbert with the Argyle Fire District. Thank you for being here. Okay, the meeting is called to order. Let me officially call the meeting to order. And I will pass it off to our CFO, Melissa Thomason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today is the first of 2 budget workshops that we will be holding, and these will coincide with our meeting days this month. To split these up, today we'll go over just an overall summary of the budget, the constitutional offices, statutory and other contributions, and the nonprofit funding program for fiscal year 26. That will leave the board departments and the capital projects for the next workshop. All right. To look at the fiscal year 26 budget highlights, property values increased 9.7% when compared to prior year. I went back and ran this, kind of looked at a history of the last 5 years, and this is our first year in the last 5 years that the increase has been in the single digits. If you go back to 2023, that's where we topped out. We had a 23% increase in property values. 2024 went down to close to 20%, 2025, 13.3%, and then 2026, 9.7%. So that's getting us down closer to where we were. We saw that boom right after COVID and when housing prices really increased. And I think we're kind of getting back to normal, and we can see a slowdown in those property value increases. For the proposed budget, we are proposing that the millage would stay at 3.6%. That's typically what we do without board direction saying you want to raise or lower the millage. We kind of look at it and say we're keeping the millage the same in the proposal as well as the services. We look at what we would need to maintain the current level of services within the county and maintain the current infrastructure. The board did approve to move forward with a self-funded health insurance program for next year. There's a recommended premium increase of 3% to maintain a healthy reserve. We have built that into the budget. We will be coming to you at the next meeting to see if you want any split in that increase in the premiums between the employer and the employee portions. We have built in a 3% cost of living adjustment for county employees, and that is something that we can go into more detail when the board is ready, but we'll definitely be discussing that at the next workshop. In the proposed budget, you will see that infrastructure projects in the Capital Projects Fund have increased from $10.1 million in fiscal year 25 to $20.6 million in fiscal year 26. We tried to maintain current services, maintain what we have, property infrastructure, and anything else we try to put to capital projects. The total proposed budget is $325 million. That's increasing $14.6 million or 4.7% from the current fiscal year. We did see the property values increase, and corresponding ad valorem tax budget has increased, but other revenues overall have stayed pretty much flat. And I do want to mention that no general fund reserves were utilized in the fiscal year 26 budget. We try to budget conservatively. In statute, it is recommended you budget at 95%. That's pretty much what we do. So in a normal year, if you don't have a downturn, budgeting that way is going to give you a little bit extra at the end of the year in the reserves. It'll let the reserves continue to grow, which does help us with inflation. Proposed countywide millage at 3.6%. That will increase ad valorem budgeted revenue from $145 million to $159 million. The taxable value has increased from $42.4 billion to $46.6 billion. So we're seeing quite an appreciation. I mean, when you go back historically, I kind of went down the rabbit hole yesterday of seeing where property values have grown. And since 2019, in 2019, we were at $18.8 billion, if that tells you how much just appreciation in value and how much new growth has come to the county. North Walton Mosquito Control, they are seeing a decrease of about $1 million. That is driven by the city of Freeport. They have decided to establish their own mosquito control service within the city. So we've looked at this. We think that we can maintain the same millage rate and maintain the services. They and the city of Defuniak had just come on the tax roll for the last couple of years. That allowed that department to get some capital projects that they needed, some capital items, and replace some equipment. And so we think that at this point, we can just maintain the services that we've got at the current millage rate. But it will decrease their budget from $1.698 million to $1.34 million. The constitutional offices, and I wanted to go over the sheriff's office first because that one has impacted the county budget more than any other. The sheriff's budget this year has been flat. It's been submitted at the same funding level as fiscal year '25. If you go back and you look, I'm showing it flat here, but if you go back and you look at last year, you will see it looks like there was a little bit of an increase, but there was a portion of the employer health insurance that's been budgeted in the general fund for all the constitutional offices for years. And since we're going to the self-funded insurance, the full cost of the benefits need to be processed through the employer payroll software. So that has been shifted from the general fund to the fine and forfeiture fund. So they do have a flat budget and no new positions have been added. I do want to mention now in prior years, the sheriff's budget has increased in correlation with property values. So if they would have needed to do that this year, then that 9.7% would have been over a $10 million increase. And if you look at that, that's about what we have increased the capital projects fund. The clerk of courts and county comptroller, they have requested an increase for the coming year from $4.783 million to $5.46 million. Their budget request increase is due partially to 2 new FTEs, and I believe I've told some of you incorrectly. The first submission they sent in had a TDT collections employee. During the budget process, they've seen that they're going to need a IT cybersecurity system administrator. So they replaced that. They are not getting a TDT collection specialist. They are requesting an IT system administrator and a payroll clerk. They've also added $135,000 for IT subscriptions and maintenance expenses to their budget. The tax collector's budget right now is just an estimate. Their budget is not due to the state until August 1st, so when we get that, we will freshen that number up and have a good number for them. The property appraiser, they do have an increase in theirs from $4.478 million to $4.829 million. That's due primarily to, they submit their budget to the state as well, and they have submitted for some adjustments and reclassifications of FTEs to the state. They've got additional costs related to, they've got more requirements for their aerial images, and they're seeing advertising and printing costs increasing. They have not added any new positions for the next year. Supervisor of elections, they have requested an increase from $1.5 million to $1.6 million. One of their issues they have is trying to get poll workers. So they have an increase for starting pay for poll workers in this budget. They're also looking at restructuring some of their personnel. They've got increased software and digital communications cost, and they're adding 1 new part-time position for increased voter registrations in South Walton. And at this point, I would ask if you have any questions for any of our constitutional officers.
Does anyone have any questions?
I guess the new roads, we can tell people to say, thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir, absolutely. But I do want to point that out because I think it will affect us next year. It would be asking a lot to ask the sheriff to never increase his budget again. So that's why we've really focused on taking any funding that's not needed for current facilities and current services and putting it to capital projects, because those are the capital pieces of one-time cost.
Tell him thank you.
If there are no other
They all
questions.
look reasonable. Everything
Okay.
looks fairly reasonable as far as I can tell.
Okay.
So,
Well, if there's no questions, we'll move on to the statutory funding. The Economic Development Alliance, I know Uriah had come to you at a meeting, I believe, in April and kind of looked at his initial budget proposal. He has proposed to continue using a per capita funding model, and that would apply to the county and the cities, and everyone participating would basically pay the same rate. he has decreased that rate from $6.72 per capita to a contribution of $5.84, which is a 13% decrease. So their budget request is actually falling from $485,000 to $421,841. And I believe I saw Uriah in here if the board has any questions regarding that budget. Argyle and Liberty Fire Districts, they have both requested $125,000 to continue their funding at the same level as in prior years. The medical examiner, they were not able to be here today. We're having our budget workshop on the same day as Escambia and Okaloosa. And since Escambia and Okaloosa are more of the lion's share of that funding, they are over there today, but Dr. Oleski and Mr. Shebler have both indicated they'll be happy to come back and speak to the board or speak to you individually anytime regarding their budget. We're seeing a very large decrease in their budget request from $2.6 million to $1.35 million. That's mostly related to the facility cost. Walton County's overall contribution to their new facility is $2,475,000. We budgeted $1.9 million of that in the current year, and we've got $575,000 in fiscal year 26. Their operating piece of that is increasing for Walton County from $726,916 to $776,698. So about a $50,000 increase. They're actually seeing a larger proportionate increase, about 10% overall, but our percent of cases went down a little bit, so that's why we're seeing a more modest increase.
Is the facility complete?
It is underway. It's out for bid. It came in a little bit over the amount that's budgeted, but they are utilizing some owner direct purchases to save on the sales taxes, which has brought it down back within budget. So right now it is underway and it's within budget. So we're hoping it stays that way.
Great, thank you.
The Health Department, and Ms. Holt is here today. If you'll remember, Ms. Holt came to the board and requested an additional $100,000 in funding for fiscal year 25. The board direction at the time was to go ahead and put the increase in the request for fiscal year 26 for your consideration to maintain the current primary care level of service. And Ms. Holt could give better detail than I can. I would simply say Ms. Holt is seeing some of the cuts that are coming. As we're all seeing on the news, all the cuts going at federal levels. She's seeing the impact of some of that. And her request has increased from $1,347,600 to $1,724,397. The Defuniak Senior Center, I looked at the contract on this one, and the contract with the city says that the county has sole discretion to continue payments. So what we have proposed is to let the contribution for the Defuniak Senior Center remain at $30,000. I've gone back, and if they're in, commissioners, please correct me if I've done this incorrectly, but I don't see direction really necessarily to cut it. So I would leave that to the board, but that's what we're proposing. Tivoli Historical Society, they got $6,000 last year. This year they've requested funding through the nonprofit funding program, so you're not seeing it in these contributions. For Lakeview, they have not raised their requested amount in several years. They get contributions for mental health services, women and children, and their Baker's Act services. So they've left those requests at $50,000 each. And the Defuniak CRA, that's a calculated change. It's based on the increase in property values within the CRA boundaries. So theirs is going up from $598,132 to $727,622. And since there are a few more, but since we're on this page right now, I would ask if you have any questions or if you would like to speak to anyone from these agencies.
Yes, I would like Holly to come up and talk to us about her funding request, if you don't mind.
Madam Chair, also, I would like to request senior funding for the South End.
They had submitted, they're actually going to be in the discretionary agency funding. They're not in this pot because this is interlocal with the city.
Okay.
Hello, Holly.
Hey, good morning. I put my glasses on so I can see. Yes, I know it looks like a little bit of money, more money that we're requesting, but went back, did a little homework. I've got Jamie, our business manager, with me this morning. We went back and really looked at some things and realized that over time, things are just catching up with us, to be honest with you. As you know, and we just found out this a few days ago, that employees will get a 2% increase. And with the state funding, that doesn't take care of the federal programs. So we have a high percent of our staff right now that work under federal programs, be it the Federally Qualified Health Center. We've not gotten any increases in that since we started an inception, other than to just maintain what we have. And we're at a point now, to be honest with you, that the decision, needs to be made from the commissioners. At what level do you want to support us to sustain what's going on with primary care? We've got the Paxton Clinic. There was a few things there that we're going to need to make sure that we have in place for supplies and some things there. So we went back and calculated a little bit more on what we need there just to keep the 4 rooms open. We need a couple more tables. There's just things like that we've got to do for that clinic. Mossy Head will start somewhere spring, summer. That's our next expansion. And in the grant, when it was written, there was, and I have the specific numbers if y'all want it later, but there was an amount that was given towards equipment and supplies. But when it comes to like IT and network, it looks like there's going to be about a $35,000, $40,000 amount to just hook up to data. That wasn't in that grant because it was a limited amount of money that we could apply for that. So we've got those things that we're looking at the next year. With staffing, and then primary care with the increase of dollars that we've got now. And every year there's been an increase over the last, and I'm not complaining about this because it is very nice for, the governor to give us an increase for cost of living or whatever raises, but we only get a certain amount for, which is partial to the employees because we are a different, situation. We've got state, we've got federal dollars coming in, but when it comes to increases, you can't give just part of the increase to part of the staff. So we've got that all in numbers if you need that later. And then the discretionary dollars that came, we never got the funding for that. And a lot of that, and I think I've shared this several times with you all, that, we know now HCA is going to have their groundbreaking. I believe it's next week. They will be opening up an ER facility, North Doctors. I would have been losing some nurses had I not moved forward with that. So it's just a multitude of things. We have lost some funding in some of our core public health for this next year. Immunizations, we're losing funding in that. We're losing funding in our family planning. So that's basically now the plan for us, hopefully, as we will continue to look for more grants that might be able to supplant some of the dollars we lost federally through our HRSA, some HRSA grants that are out there. So we'll continue to look for that and make sure we're not having to put anything into that. That would be something that we can do. Secondly, we are increasing productivity for our clinicians. As I've said in the past, we can't say only this portion's insurance, this portion's, uninsured. We can't do that. It is who calls and makes an appointment. That's who we've gotten. And we have seen a major increase in uninsured, clients that have come through our door this last year.
I was going to ask you if there was any change in the number of people that you see now, but you're saying that there's an increase in the uninsured. What about?
That was so we have a report that we do, and it's called a Uniform Data System report through UDS. It's through the federal part of our grant that we get. And, in the coastal it was 60-something% of the clients were uninsured. In the Paxton and Defuniak area, it was 40-something%. So we are still seeing that, and everybody knows, listening to different things that are going on in the world today, there's going to be a cut with Medicaid, some other things that are coming down through the federal level, and we're probably going to be getting those clients as well. So this is a lot, that we're actually dealing with as we move forward in the next years.
Are they required to be a Walton County resident in order for you to see them?
Not for federally qualified. Because we're an FQHC, we see anybody.
Do any of the other, like if you're seeing a lot of people from, say, Alabama, do they participate in any funding?
No, and we're not seeing a whole lot from Alabama.
I just threw out Alabama because it's close.
Paxton,
for no reason.
There's a few, but we're not seeing like a huge number in Paxton. But no, we don't receive any funding. Our federal program comes specifically from the federal government through HRSA, to us. So.
Okay.
Do they have to be U.S. citizens?
Jamie, you want to answer that? That's a big no. We don't. Yeah. So.
You're not allowed to say anything about that?
No, there's a lot of rules and restrictions that we have on the Department of Health side as well as the federal side that we cannot. Now, will things change? Who knows? But today, I'm going to answer it like that.
Interesting. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Holly? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did Uriah, would you like to come up and speak to yours?
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Congratulations, Brian. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope, Uriah Matthews, URIAH Matthews, 2 T's. Hopefully it's exciting that I've reduced the budget. Any questions?
Thank you for reducing it.
And what was the purpose? I'm sorry, I believe that Melissa mentioned that, but can you tell us?
Yeah, so we're going on, 2.5 years I've been here. We've got so it's the third budgeting year. To kind of provide some background for those that may not have seen or been part of the first process of budgeting, what we did is in the 2023-2024 budget is we flattened the contributions by all of the alliance partners, which were the only funders of the organization at the time, to a per capita instance. And at that time, my first year's request was for a total of $580,000 in funding at a $6.96 per capita request. What we ended up settling on was $4.95. I'm not surprised by that. It was a big ask and change of funding. What we did is I think everybody lended caution to who's this guy Uriah and coming in to change everything. And I believe we've done a pretty good job. And in the result of that, the next year, my request did not change from the 580 that was requested the first year. That 580 number was based on my research of all of the peers in the county from Bay to Escambia. They're all well funded above that number, but I believe 580 is an appropriate number for our community at this time. Essentially, we don't have a lot of some of the baggage that a larger budget may have over many years of being a large budget. So, and I have a little bit of a different way of thinking about things. So, for example, this year we went through a rebranding effort, and we went out for quotes. And I had budgeted $90,000 because my view of what happens in government is there's a lot of money that goes to these projects, and I've just sort of seen it as, wow, that's how it's done in government. With that said, at the EDA, we have a desire to not spend as much money as we sometimes can in government. And what we did is, after receiving all of those estimates for those RFPs that ranged from $60,000 to $120,000, for example, the board actually just said, hey, Uriah, can you just keep it under 30 and just go figure out how to get it done? And we got it done for $3,000. So we saved a lot of money, for an example. And again, that's why we're not requesting to raise our budget or anything of that nature. The second year, this current budget year, we asked for 580 because our community's growing. We get to take the advantage of not raising a top-line budget and reducing our per capita expense. So it went from 696 down to 672. And this next year's budget, it's actually going to be even less than the $5 and some change number, because the new population numbers will come out for this year, and they'll reduce it even further.
Okay.
So I hope to show a pretty good savings on per capita. And the reason for that is, as you remember, one of the first efforts we did was to bring in private partnerships to the organization. So now that we're going into year 3, we have 1 full year of fundraising from the private sector under our belt, and we're able to supplement that 580 number with that private sector funding, reduce our public footprint, and I believe we'll be able to continue to do that in the future, and for sure in the per capita amount. And I hope that's
Thank
a
you.
sensible idea and a good plan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yep. So
Okay.
may I just say one comment there real quick? So this year's budget will result in a net reduction of $75,000 over the previous year. And I also want to mention, that first year for the county, the first year that I was here, we got that DIG grant, that Defense Infrastructure Grant. That actually paid for my first 2 full years of budgeting requests. So my first 2 years, this current year and previous year, that funding from the county totaled $829,000. And one of the grants that I received that only the Economic Development Agency can receive actually totaled $830,000. So I hope there's a view that economic development can not only reward the community in what it does, but also what it has access to being an economic development organization.
Thank you very much.
Yep,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you. I would also like to ask if Jeff would mind coming up, just for the public's knowledge to know that, we're supporting the fire department. If you'd just like to say a few words about that, just so everybody knows what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Sure.
Thank you. Would you please state your name for the
Jeff
record?
Talbert, Talbert. This is the first time I've been called up here. Down in Argyle, we put these funds to good use. They are very, very helpful to our department. We're very small and all volunteer, and we are taking some steps, trying to move into the future here. This money has been very beneficial in helping us maintain our aging fleet, and help pay our bills a little bit. So. It's part of a larger, long-term look that we're taking at the future of our fire district, and trying to move forward and provide top-quality service out there in the Argyle Fire District, which includes a large portion of our eastern county. So we do really appreciate it, and we work very well. I talk to Melissa all the time, have questions. She helps us stay on track, and we really appreciate it. So
Wonderful.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Well, I think that we're all happy that we can help in that effort, because it is very much needed and very appreciated. So thank you for what you do.
It is, and it shows in our community out there in Argyle. We have a very high standing in our community. I think our chief has been to nearly every house out there at some point or another. So, but yes, we really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that.
Sure.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any questions for anybody else that's on this list? No? Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Commissioners, on our next page, we're still on the statutory and other agency funding. These are the ones that we are required by statute. Medicaid services, that is a statutorily required contribution to the Medicaid program. And with the federal, I keep hearing there's federal Medicaid cuts, so I'm not sure what's going to happen in the coming years to our county contribution. But I did look, and let's see if I can pull it real quick. Back in, I believe it was 2019, here it is, fiscal year 2020, our contribution was $833,653. So between 2020 and 2026, we're looking at about a 56% increase. So that's a hefty increase each year. If you'll see, just over the last year, there's been almost a $300,000 increase. The Healthcare Responsibility Act, we've not been getting invoices on these. We've only had Ascension. Ascension's been the only hospital that's been able to bill these. Now we have a new hospital on board, so that's why I've increased it to $100,000. That is nowhere near our maximum contribution. That's a per capita number. I believe the maximum contribution could potentially be closer to $300,000. But since we haven't had any contributions in several years, we don't want to tie up that funding unnecessarily. I left this here that way if we do have claims that come through, we will have something for those. The new hospital is, I know they've talked several times to the board about working on the LIP funding. I believe that if the LIP funding is involved, this HICRA payment is the payer of last resort. So I think if they get that LIP funding, that would preclude them from getting the HICRA funding. So it may be that I'm coming back to you wanting to reallocate those funds at some point. Gulf Coast Kids House, we're leaving that at $40,000. That's required by statute. It's for payments made for medical examinations related to child abuse investigations. We pay actual invoices. The county has a contract with Gulf Coast Kids House for those. So that is an estimate of what we anticipate being the cost of those exams. The indigent cremation program, that's another one that is required by statute, and we do have funeral homes on contract for that. We're estimating that at $50,000 next year. And we went ahead and put the opioid settlement program in there because we know what that amount will be going forward. So each year we'll just budget it based on our contribution for the next year. Any questions about those items?
Anyone? No? Thank you.
Okay, this is the next one that we are going to need board direction on. The discretionary agency funding. We put out those applications this year, and where the board awarded $192,000 in fiscal year '25, we received $477,820 worth of applications. There were 21 applications that met the criteria to move forward. We do have the committee that ranked and scored these. On board recommendations, we did include an individual from the North End, and we had an individual from South Walton on that committee. Your first page shows the fiscal year 2025 awarded funding. That way you can see who we've already given funding to. The next page is the fiscal year 2026 applicants, and they are in order of the committee rank. And I've downloaded copies of all the applications if you would like any more information. And after the meeting, if you'd like information, I can email you any of those. But we are requesting direction regarding overall program funding for fiscal year 26 and whether or not you want limits on individual awards. The committee, we had a really good committee. I'm hoping that our members might be willing to serve next year, because we did have, if you know her, Janet Currid from North Walton, a retired principal, and we had Miss Barbara Morano from the South End. And the committee was very engaged in this, and they were more than willing to make recommended funding amounts. But all this is right now is just a ranking, so we would request direction regarding program funding for next year.
Well, as you just pointed out, the requests have gone up $307,000 since last year.
Yes, ma'am.
And personally, I think it's kind of getting out of control. And I think that the purpose of this has maybe have been lost somewhere along the way. I was under the impression that the purpose of this was to help new businesses or new things kind of flourish and be able to get off the ground. And I see that some of the things that we're paying out to or repeat year after year. And I just didn't think that that was the purpose. But I think that like our neighbors to the west of us, and probably several others, I don't know for sure, have capped their discretionary spending to $250,000. And also, I would think that it would be good to have a reimbursement grant so that they can show us what they've spent the money on, so that we know what we're not just doling out money free without having any knowledge of what it's being used on. So I would think that would be a good way to ensure that those that need it and qualify can get the funding. But I think we need a cap because it's getting out of control. Yes.
You almost mirrored what I was thinking. Is there anything in the application where it shows, like the Early Learning Coalition, how many times have they gotten that award over the last few years?
They've been getting it every year. Those are grant match funds, and I would have to go back and see how many years, but quite a few.
So this is more of a budgetary item or entitlement? I mean, it just seems strange that grants are, like Chair John said, are to help stabilize somebody for a couple, 3, 4 years to get them moving. And now it just seems like, oh, well, we just keep getting it. Let's just raise it up a little more, raise it up a little more. I went to the TDC meeting and they cut theirs from $700,000 to $500,000. I think we need to cut ours from 192 to whatever that percentage difference that the TDC did. We just can't keep going up and up. I mean, we need parks and ag centers and everything else, infrastructure. But I hate to say it, but we just don't need to take advantage of the system. That's just my 2 cents.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
first of all, I don't agree with what the TDC did, but we'll get to that in the next meeting. But most of these organizations are provide either children's services or provide medical services or animal services, for lack of a better term. But these there's one on here, Safe Connections, the Family Visitation Center. That's $100,000. They got what last year? 25.
25, yes, sir.
But that's the only facility between, I think, Milton and Tallahassee, where families that are the most vulnerable families, the struggling families, can exchange children between the parents in a safe environment. And there's no real way they can raise that money. It's not like they can go out and do a fundraiser. The same with, do you really want to cut the animal refuge? Coastal Seniors, I agree. I don't think 5,000's enough.
Well, Commissioner, I do want to point out, they applied for $30,000. I'm sorry, I think they applied for $25,000 last year. I'd have to check that, but I believe that the board increased it to correspond with the FUNIAC, but they only applied for $5,000 this year.
Well, if that's their choice, then we can live with that. Like I said, most of these organizations are good organizations, and most of them don't have, some of them don't have any paid staff. Tivoli's got 380, I think, kids in their program. They don't have any paid staff, and that basically pays the light bill. Children in crime, do you really want to cut children in crisis or the council on aging? I do agree there should be some sort of cap, but I can't, there's not a one of them on there that I really could go out there and say that needs to get cut. I don't see it. And we've got to, we've got to support our children, and we've got to support medical treatment for our people. Point Washington Medical Clinic, that's $25,000. Do you really want to cut that? The dental program for the children, $15,000. Do you really want to cut that? I don't.
Madam Chair. There's only one in here that I really had, I guess, a question on, maybe Melissa can help me with, that's coming off the top of my head. When I was going through the previous county administrators' funding agreements, one came to mind, and I'm not sure this is the same one or not, number 16, where the description stated to help, I'm paraphrasing, but I could pull it up. That was when Commissioner Anderson was chair. That program was to help dog and pet owners to learn how to not get bit by their own pets.
That program, it goes into public elementary schools and libraries, and let me look and
Well, it
see.
said that too in that at 24 document or 25 document.
It
I just
says,
want to make sure the whole program, what is it? I mean, they just put that almost in parentheses, and I'm like, really?
The uses of funding, it says half of the funding, $2,500, will be allocated to training, professionally assessing, and ensuring at least one new therapy dog team, each consisting of a specially trained dog and handler. These additional teams will allow us to enhance our outreach in one current school, Dune Lakes Elementary, and work toward expanding into more public schools in Walton County. More teams mean more opportunities for children to participate in the program, helping literacy skills, confidence, emotional well-being through one-on-one reading sessions with therapy dogs. And let's see, they do have a better description here. It's reading educational assistance dogs is a proven successful method of education that uses therapy animals to help kids improve their reading and communication skills, and also teaches them to love books and reading. And then the other half of the funding, it says, will support the printing of educational materials for our humane education classes and the partially funded hiring of a part-time administrative staff member dedicated to coordinating with school faculty at Design Read program schools and coordinating therapy dog teams' involvement with our humane education classes. Staff member will assess the optimal frequency of therapy dog team visits, ensure smooth program implementation, and systematically collect data on Read program student progress. By tracking improvements in reading levels and overall academic performance, we will be able to measure the program's impact more effectively and refine our approach to maximize benefits for Walton County students.
Shouldn't that
I'll
come out of
give you
school
that
funds? Shouldn't that come out of school funds?
I would have to ask
I
them if
mean-
they can use it for that.
Well, at least the description's a little better than the one that was when Commissioner Anderson was here. I read that and I'm like, well, my father just rolled up a newspaper. You know, I didn't get how we're going to educate our pet owners how not to get bit by their own pet. So
And,
at least they upgraded their description.
Commissioners, I do want to mention our agencies that applied, they were notified that this would be discussed at the budget workshop, so I do not know who we have here from these agencies, if anyone, today. So I would
Is
say
there
if you're
anyone
here
in
from the
here from
agency,
any of the agencies on this list here today? Just raise your hand.
We got a
Okay.
Anybody from
You have a
Dog
few.
and Harmony?
Okay. You know, I have questions on them because we have an animal shelter. The county has an animal shelter. And we do have Holly Holt and her team that, for the medical, as well as several other things. And some of these amounts have gone up, for instance, from $10,000 last year to $45,000 this year, from $10,000 last year to $20,000 this year, $12,000 last year to $15,000 this year, $8,000 last year to $12,500 this year. A lot of them have gone up. And do we get any receipts? Do we get any knowledge of anything that they've actually spent the money on?
we do get copies of financial statements, and they do show that they've spent the funding in Walton County.
Okay, well, that's good, that's good. But
And I would say that some of these increases, when the application's put out there without any limitations on it, they're encouraged to apply for what they need. So I don't know that there would have been just let's see if we can get more money from the county. It's what do you need? Here's what we need. Let's see what we can be funded for.
Do you know if the Children in Crisis, is that in Okaloosa County, or is there one
It
locally?
is located in Okaloosa County, but they provide the services in Walton County, and that's pretty much the requirement. They have to have been providing services in Walton County for at least a year, and they've got to document with us in their financials that they have spent those funds for Walton County programs.
Okay. And what is the Westwood Ranch Transition to Work program?
Let me pull that one up so I can give you the right explanation.
That's that place in Freeport.
Yeah,
that-
right across from, or kind of from Open
And
Horses.
these funds were for a specific,
What do they transition?
It's
They have
for
some workers in there.
impaired. I mean,
and it's not going to let me pull it up.
And I can't use
It's
Madam
a
Chair.
return to work program for, it's for disabled individuals to help them transition into being
Madam
being
Chair.
at work.
Okay.
Westwood is a facility for autism,
Okay.
and those
Okay.
people do a tremendous service to this county. The problem we've had in the past with autism programs is they get them to a certain level, which is usually, 18 to 20, and
drop them.
they don't have anywhere to go to learn how to work. And this is what they've taken on themselves to help the autistic kids that can transfer into work programs. Several years ago, they came to me and said, there's no program. The county has no program. The state has no program for here. And they took this on themselves. And so it's a very good organization. They do great work. They self-fund most of their stuff. This is a program that they've just started a year or so ago, and it's been successful. And yeah, I think we need to keep helping them fund it.
That's a good cause. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I had no idea, so that's good to know.
Could we just let these people come up and talk about their program? Cut to the chase?
Let's see, how many, raise your hands again if you're here on behalf. Now, if there are two of you here for the same thing, I don't need both of you to come up and talk. You can pick which one you want to talk. But a show of hands again, and I'll just pick one. And again, if young lady right here, come on up. Yes, you right there. Yes, ma'am. Tell us your name, and then tell us which one of these that you are supporting.
Good morning. I'm Shannon O'Connors. I'm Executive Director for Safe Connections. I'd like to touch a little bit about nonprofits in general. Our services are court-ordered services, supervised visitation, and monitored exchanges. We also provide parenting classes as well. So in reality, we don't typically fit in your normal nonprofit because we are providing a service, a court-ordered service for our county.
Are you the Safe Connections, the visitation center? Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you just in Walton County, or I think somebody mentioned it goes to Tallahassee?
No, we are in Walton County. We also have two in Okaloosa, which is in Crestview, and then Fort Walton.
Does Okaloosa County fund any of that?
Yes, they have their own portion of funding that we are, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and so, as you know, we've lost a lot of funding all throughout the years. Typically, we normally receive a OVW JFF grant, which comes from a federal grant. Last year, we did not receive that, but we fit in a realm of large area throughout the U.S., so that is not guaranteed funding for us at all. We can apply every year, but it's not guaranteed. Walton County gives us a building that is a historical building that we have our services in, and you saw the increase in funding. Audrey, who is our case manager, she is here with us today. She, last 2024, did 687 supervised visitation. She also did 382 parenting classes in the area. Now, that's a combined also. The parenting classes are not just through Walton County. They're a combined of Okaloosa. We do get some in from Escambia, Bay County, and we got a portion of all of those.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anyone have any questions for her?
And as far as the funds that were increased, that is to give Audrey another person to help her, and to help fund some of her salary as well.
So last year you received $25,000 from us, and this year you're asking for $100,000.
Yes, and that in addition is to help support, because administrative staff, we have none. It is just myself, and so that is to help assist get a portion, another person, administrative, but I've also asked Okaloosa as well to split that 50-50 with us, since we're in both counties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And full disclosure, I mean, I don't know if you saw the rest of them, but they came to see me, and for what they do and the amount of money they get is awesome. I mean, they are stretching every dollar like 3 or 4 times, and I mean, these ladies work, no benefits, they basically minimum wage, and the courts are ordering these people's services, and they're not getting, I mean, they're basically volunteering for what they get, really. So I'll admit it, I encouraged them to ask for $100,000 because I think they need it, and they probably need double that. And we ought to, can't help children, and these are children that have been through a divorce, and I mean, the court doesn't order safe connections on standard everyday custody things. These are at-risk children, and if we can't help them, I mean, maybe I'm a softie, but
You are a softie.
And you know, the house that the county provides for us, it is Miss Audrey's house. When those kiddos come, it's Miss Audrey's house. It's not just a normal visitation center. It's where they feel home when they come to visit their parents.
Right. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Hands again, please. Yes, this lady on the end here.
Hi, my name is Candy Nowling. I'm the Executive Director for the Matrix Community Outreach Center. I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you that none of us enjoy doing this, so it has nothing to do with an entitlement.
Right.
Okay? I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. We've been providing the services for this county that we've been doing for 14 years, okay? And that's everything from homeless individuals to people with mental health issues to sustaining housing. We call it preventive assistance, trying to keep people from losing their homes, to partnerships with Walton County Emergency Management, serving as your human services branch, operating cold weather shelters. We partner with the Walton County School District to provide for homeless students that are referred from them to us. These are not people that are just able to come to us without verification. We've also, over the past 2 years, implemented in partnership with them the Education Empowerment Initiative, which helps homeless students through that program that are in middle school and high school age students to look at post-secondary opportunities. We have a student success coach that works with them to try and keep them to break the poverty cycle. So yes, last year, just in full disclosure, we received $10,000 from you guys, and we did ask for $45,000. The reason is because things are not getting better for any of us. I mean, some of us work 80 hours a week trying to accommodate all of the needs that are coming in, and these are your people that we are serving. I could sit here and give numbers all day, but I'll give you guys an example. Our budget is almost $1 million now, which is insane because we're a nonprofit, volunteer-based, operating with volunteers, hundreds of volunteers a day. We provided preventive care assistance, keeping almost 2,000 families housed this past year, which averaged about $66 a person. For us, it was $121,000 spent on keeping people from losing their houses. That was just keeping the people in their homes. We had almost 532 families that we serviced through that homeless kids program. We had 163 that we provided that education empowerment initiative to. We had 487 that were homeless individuals that we kept off your streets by keeping them in hotels, helping them with mental health counseling, keeping them from invading the medical care system in a way that's not beneficial to you, local law enforcement, first responders, because if we're not doing that, somebody else is having to deal with that. And so I know it's a lot of money. It is very hard for us to look at our budget and try to determine what part of that should be y'all's responsibility, what part of that should you be helping to give back to. But I believe that, and like I said, I can't speak for every other nonprofit, but I know that every day we look at every opportunity to try and better serve the people that we serve and the best way to spend the dollars that we do get, because it is extremely hard to figure out where to get the money from. We get money from the school district, we get money from United Way, we get money from the St. Joe Foundation. We are looking at everybody and asking everybody to contribute something. And so, yes, unfortunately, it continues to grow. And I wish that was not the case. But just like Holly mentioned, DCF, the Department of Children and Families, they literally used to provide a caseworker in our office 2 days a week. They have pulled that because of funding. They no longer have that person. So guess what? Either we don't provide that to the community or we have to absorb that. So now we've partnered with Catholic Charities. They're providing a person 1 day a week, and we're providing a person 1 day a week. But it's things like that that are continuing to grow, that's why these numbers are going up for everybody. The need is growing. And if we don't do it, that $45,000 may cost you $45,000 today, but if I'm not there to do it and we're not there to do it and these groups aren't there to do it, I promise you it's going to cost you more money in the long run.
Well,
Madam Chair?
Yes.
You can.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Nowlin?
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for your service. I don't think any of us up here question anything you guys do.
I know.
I know it's frustrating to come ask for money. That's probably the least favorite part of your job.
I hate this part of my job, and I'm sure these ladies and gentlemen do too.
I can assure you. But to all of the people out here in all of these charities and all of these charitable organizations countywide, even the ones that are not asking for money, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for what you do, because what we don't pay up front, we're going to pay 5 times on the back end, because somebody has to do these jobs, or we're going to be overrun with homeless people. Our hospitals are going to be overrun. Miss Holly's health clinic is going to be overrun. We can't have children wandering the street wondering where their next meal is going to come from. And so thank all of y'all for what you do. I don't want any of y'all to think we don't appreciate it, because we do. And we all know that without y'all, the back end is way worse than the front end. So I appreciate you. I appreciate all of the ones out here. And please continue to doing the great work y'all are doing. And we're going to help where we can as long as I'm on this board.
And thank you. We appreciate it.
Go ahead.
I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. Clark, but could you come up here just a second? Hang tight.
Yes, sir.
Currently, what does it cost per day to incarcerate someone in the Walton County Jail?
It ranges about $75 to $80 a day per inmate.
So 365 times 80, it's a lot of money.
Sure is.
It's way more than 45,000. That's all I needed was that figure.
All
I
right.
thought I was going to jail.
I just wanted to say,
I would just say that, as Commissioner Anderson said, we either pay today or we're going to pay more tomorrow, because these kids, if they don't get help now, it's going to get worse. And 45,000 won't even
And I
touch
do
a
want y'all to
jail.
know, I know Ms.
bed.
Johns asked the question before about like the county thing. We do service Okaloosa and Walton County, but that's why we work so diligently to make sure that we have partnerships in Okaloosa County, because we don't want you having to fund people from Okaloosa County.
Right.
We want to make sure that the agencies and organizations that are there are helping their people. And so we work very hard to do that.
I just wanted to say, honestly, thank you for what you do. It's heartbreaking, the thought that kids that are in school don't have a home or a bed. That's just heartbreaking to me. And I do believe that we need more mental health facilities in the state, probably in the entire country.
Yes, ma'am.
And we don't have those, and we do need that. I think, I know you don't like to do this, but I think it's valuable for us to know exactly what that money's going for, and it is just heartbreaking, some of the things that you have to work with. And so I appreciate you coming up and sharing that. I really do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I didn't mean anything by the entitlement aspect other than the process that we have. If you look at, when I came up here, and I got hired in here. Yeah, I got hired in here. I thought these were grants. These were, you come up, you get a grant this year, you get one next year, you get your feet on the ground, you keep moving. Well, that's not what these are. And I am discovering that. But then I hear your story, and then I hear the lady before you, and then we, and I'm not picking on them, just, the Dogs in Harmony, I'm just like, I think we gotta,
Scrub it.
kind of mix this up for a priority standpoint somehow, because she's talking about giving humans,
We call it life-sustaining measures,
Yeah.
is what.
and then, a few more down, we're talking about how to train our dog not to bite us. I mean, there's a broad spectrum there, and I think they probably need to be broken out, and maybe we have two categories. I don't know, a major and a minor. But I do agree with everybody up here that we need a cap. I think that's a definite. We need
We
to
do.
say,
And if you look at the committee ranking and see how the committee ranked them, that should be part of where that falls out. Because if you'll see, you've got Dog Harmony, they were number 16, whereas Matrix was number 3.
I gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we should look at that closely, yeah. Mr. Kellenberger, what have you got?
Commissioners, at our meeting this afternoon, due to a late request from a nonprofit, I have an agenda item to review our nonprofit funding program. And while the program works very well now, maybe it's time for some revisions to make it more objective, to create different categories, maybe create different application times, so that people that may not know they need money later in the year can have opportunity as well, but certainly would have a cap on it and all that. I think if you went down and reviewed all these, you'll understand that these are probably very small amounts in their overall budget. This lady from the Matrix has demonstrated that. And so while the overall amount looks a lot, the individual amounts are probably not very significant to what they do. But to have a program that works like it should, it has to have good criteria, good scoring or objective scoring criteria, and then categories so that the committee that you've entrusted with helping you figure out how much to give each year can do a very accurate and fair job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Melissa, do we list everybody, or are there some that drop off of here?
The
Or-
only ones that have dropped off, and now, last year it was a little different. Last year, the committee actually made funding recommendations to the board. This year, the directive was to put out the applications and see what we got. So nothing, if it met the criteria, it is on the list.
Okay.
So this is
So what we need to
everything.
pay attention to are the numbers, this category, which.
This is
number
according
one,
to the
two,
way the
three.
committee ranked them, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on their project? You don't have to, but if you want to come up and speak, you're welcome to. Is there anyone that wants to? Yes, ma'am, in the middle, right there. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for having us here today. My name is Dr. Hillary Glenn. I'm founder and executive director of the Point Washington Medical Clinic. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are a no-fee-for-service primary care clinic that is primarily volunteer-driven. We moved into a new facility last year and were able to expand services into dentistry and mental health. We also have a lab on site, and we are working to have a pharmacy for distribution. We've been operating in Walton County for 8 years. We've seen a 46% increase in patient volume over last year. So far this year, we've seen 1,200 Walton County residents. 80% of our patients are in the Alice household, underneath the Alice household survival income, if you all are familiar with that metric. And we probably, since inception, will have provided Walton County with $6.9 million of healthcare services on site. In the year of 2025, we will likely serve the community about $12 million in averted ER visits. And we have done this all by volunteer service, so we have had about 40,000 volunteer hours in order to make this all happen. And so far this year, we're on track to see about 4,300-ish patients, and we're able to add a fourth day this year through our partnership with the UF, soon-to-be FSU residency program. And so we do think we provide a very valuable service to the residents of Walton County and then the larger area beyond.
Very interesting. Yes, go ahead.
You want to go first?
Yeah. Again, thank you. I went to this clinic several times. I always donated way more than an office visit would cost me, because that's how they get their money, is donations. It's a free clinic. Mm-hmm. It sees a lot of patients. I've not heard one complaint about this clinic, not one. They treat everybody the same way. It's a great service to not only Point Washington but South Walton. And during COVID, they stood strong. They whether you approved of the shots or not, that's what we were being told to do. And I'm telling you, they were helping the community every day, risking their lives to help the community. So I have nothing but good things to say about this clinic, and I appreciate y'all so much.
Thank you.
And from a hard, I agree with everything Commissioner Anderson said, but from a hard business standpoint, if you weren't there, if you didn't exist anymore, those people got to be seen by somebody. They have to have health care from somebody. So the emergency rooms and the health department are going to get deluged with people needing help. So really, the health department services keep them off your back to an extent, but you keep them off the health department's back to a large extent. And so both of these and people have to have health care. I mean, this isn't the 1830s where we just let people die at age 30. You got to have some services to provide. So, $25,000, that ain't a lot of money for what you do for the community. It just ain't.
The mental health services, I think, is a real blessing to have that available. So thank you for all you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Any other questions?
No. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Lindy Wood with Westonwood Ranch. I'm the founder and CEO. I appreciate you, Commissioner Anderson, for speaking on behalf of Westonwood. We have been operating in Freeport and serving the Walton County community since August of 2019. And our comprehensive services, what we're doing is we're coming alongside of families and teenagers and young adults that have individuals with developmental disabilities. That includes autism and Down syndrome and other cognitive impairments. And I'll say this to be brief, but fundamentally the way that our system educates these young people that have developmental disabilities is not allowing them to rise to their full potential. They're being ushered out of our public school system, and they're falling into a services cliff. It is bleak. They fall into nothingness. So college is not the next step, but what is. So Westonwood stands in the gaps, and we are investing in these young people, and we're giving them job skill training and life skill training to get them to be generative and productive citizens of Walton County. Otherwise, can you imagine having your young adult child remaining on your couch for the rest of his or her existence? So this alleviates burdens upon the family, who often have to quit. One of the family members have to quit a job to stay at home with their loved ones. So really, we're looking at putting a population, over 80% of individuals with autism remain chronically unemployed. They have never stepped into employment. So they're not tax-paying citizens. They're not spending money in our community. So we're kind of, putting our foot down and saying, this isn't acceptable. These are human beings who are capable of giving the right pathways and opportunities. So I appreciate your consideration for funding some of our most vulnerable citizens and giving them the opportunities to rise to their fullest potential.
Thank you very, very much.
Madam
And
Chair.
again, we appreciate everything that you do.
Appreciate it.
It's
Thank you.
very, very
Madam Chair, I would like to also say, tell all your friends, their number one fundraiser is the rodeo, and it's fabulous. It's so much fun, and you get to see really up close and personal how crazy bull riders are for getting on those animals.
When is that?
But
It's always the fourth weekend in March at Freeport Regional Sports Complex, and it is, it embodies just family and our whole community rallying around a cause, and it has a hometown feel, and it's a special event, and we're thankful to be able to have that in Walton County.
That's wonderful.
And $15,000 isn't a lot of money, but it does allow the county to be a participant in your program and your success. So I think $15,000 is a wise investment. I've got a niece that would qualify for your services, and her mom and daddy did a great job with her, but it would have helped to have the help. And you're right, when they get to be an adult, there is no services
Everything
anymore. It's
just
gone.
drops, yes.
So I think it's great to have this in Walton County, and I think it's great that you're willing to do it. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Calandra Vargas, and I'm the director of Main Street Defuniak Springs. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope everyone in this room will come down to Main Street and support our amazing small businesses and coffee shops after this meeting. We'd love to have you. I know there's a bit of mystery surrounding this organization, and I did email you guys our annual report from last year. In full transparency, we are a fully nationally accredited association under the State Department in Florida as well as nationally. I'm happy to meet with anyone individually as well as in this room to talk about the economic benefit of our organization. But in short, a rising tide raises all boats. Our heart is to support the small businesses of downtown. And if you hear trembling in my voice, is because I work every day with the weight on my shoulders to make sure that people not only are able to keep their businesses, but expand their businesses, hire more staff, increase the quality of life for our citizens. Matrix is right down the street. We've had Aliqua come come and do adoption events in our city. We just hosted a big event in honor of our first responders. We are the heart of Defuniak Springs. We work closely with the city, which I love. I am so proud to work with the hardworking people of Defuniak Springs. Just please know that we are working so hard to do a lot with so little. So this small amount on our screen is a drop in the bucket for what our organization does. So for example, when they hired me, I'm the only paid staff. My board asked what little funding we have if I would like an office downtown, and I refused. I said, no, I'm perfectly capable of working at Perla. I want to be with the people. I do have a home office. I live a couple minutes down the road. I just didn't feel right saying I can make this work without an office. I want that money to go towards marketing. I want it to go towards our events. And our events, to give you an example, our one special business Saturday last year, we brought in almost $90,000 in taxable revenue with our small events. So all of these businesses, not only are they staying open, we're able to get tourists that are coming down off all these highways. We're trying to get the economic benefit of what South Walton sees. We're trying to get that up here too. We still don't have proper signage. I'm working my butt off with FDOT, with the city, with National. I'm going to a conference next week just to try to get signage for our little small town. I mean, for so long, we just haven't been given the attention that we deserve. You know, the workers in South Walton, they live up here. I've lived in South Walton. We have such an amazing community here, and I want to make sure that downtown is a place where they can come and thrive and have happy memories, and that we can see all the stores full. But right now we have such a vacancy rate, but good news is that things are moving out of probate. We're going to get more businesses. But anyway, I digress. I just get so excited. So please meet with me. I'm happy to answer any questions about our funding. We do quarterly reports. We're extremely transparent. Our board is amazing. One quick example of how we actually save the county and the state money. Recently, we partnered with the city for Tree and Beautification Board. They gave us a small amount of money to buy plants and to beautify our entire Main Street area. Come, it's so beautiful. I'm so proud. But we partnered with them, and it was all volunteers, volunteer donation hours to get those all in. So the city didn't do it. We're maintaining them. We bought plants that were low water usage. We wanted to be wise with every resource that we have, and that wouldn't have gotten done if otherwise. So now when we have investors coming down, they see all these beautiful plants and all these things going on in murals, now we're going to attract more money, more investment, more quality of life, more housing. So these small projects that are largely volunteer done, that's what this organization does. We are community and commerce, and I really, really appreciate your support. So thank you all.
Thank you. Madam Chair. Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. And the one thing I'll say about Main Street, y'all work. I mean, there's some sort of event, the farmer's market. Y'all have events throughout the year, the tractor parade. I can't even name all of them, but with mostly a volunteer staff, y'all work.
Yes.
And the return and sales tax and property tax value raises in downtown. The downtown Defuniak real estate has quadrupled in value because of Main Street. And that, although the CRA gets a lot of it, but that's still a good that's still a good thing as far as the sales tax revenue that y'all would generate. So I'd say y'all are money well spent.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
when I first met Reynolds Henderson, he told me what his plan was for downtown Defuniak. And I said, are you sure? But with the help of Main Street, Danny and I grew up here. I raised my family in Defuniak Springs. When I was a kid, when he was a kid, although I'm quite a bit older than him, you had to drive around the block several times to find a parking place. That hadn't happened in 50 years until y'all came along. And with your help, most of the buildings downtown are filled now. There's still a couple, but you now have to drive around the block to find a parking place. And to most people, that's like crazy. They don't like it. Me, I love it. It means downtown is a positive influence for people. And the shops that are downtown are great. I've eaten down there. I've gotten coffee down there. But that's all attributed to Main Street.
Yes, sir.
And y'all's advertising and y'all getting businesses here. So thank you very much.
Thank
Y'all
you,
do
sir.
a
I
great
appreciate
job.
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak? Okay, seeing none. Okay.
I think we about beat this horse to
I think
death.
so too, and you're going to be bringing it up at the regular meeting, so we can go for there. So thank you, Melissa.
Yes, ma'am. I believe the only thing left is I do want to go back and ask Commissioner Curry if he had any questions for the constitutional officers, offices that are here today and have representation regarding their budgets. We had gone over that. We went over that right before you got in here. The sheriff's office budget is flat for the coming year. The clerk's office had an increase based on 2 FTEs for an IT
I thought they were
system.
cutting everything 50%. I didn't see that in here. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I think we talked in depth a little bit, so. I'm good.
Sounds good. Just to go over the timeline, July 1st, I'm sorry, starts our clock for the trim process. So we've got our first budget workshop today. Second will be July 22nd. August 4th, the staff will host a staff public budget workshop at Freeport Commons from 5 to 7. And then we have our tentative and final budget hearings on September 8th and 22nd. If there are any items that the board would like to discuss further, we can always bring those up in a regular meeting. We are going to request at the next meeting for direction regarding the millage, but for today, that is all that I have for you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the board?
I have one, ma'am.
Okay.
I just want to apologize to everybody for being late. Excuse me.
It wasn't too bad. We went ahead. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate your being here. Is there anyone else from the public that wants to speak to any topic that we discussed? Seeing none. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.